If you're thinking about moving to North San Diego, this video is going to save you a ton of time because a lot of people moving here hear the names like Oceanside, Carlsbad, Encinitas, San Marcos, Rancho Santa Fe, and honestly have no idea how these places actually connect. So today we're gonna pull up the map and break down all of North County San Diego so you can see exactly where everything is and what each area is known for. And I'm Chris Erickson with the Livin in San Diego real estate crew, and I've lived here my entire life. I have friends and family who live in a lot of these areas, and our team has helped a lot of people just like you make the move and buy a house right here in San Diego. So we're gonna cover the coastal cities, the inland suburbs, the luxury areas, and some hidden pockets that a lot of people overlook. And stick around because at the end, I will break down typical price ranges for each area so you can figure out which area might fit you best. But let's jump into the map. So we're gonna start zoomed out in San Diego County as a whole. And the areas we're gonna cover is this northern area. This is the area that we call North County San Diego. But if you've been to San Diego, you're gonna fly into downtown San Diego, right down this way. San Diego International Airport. Here's Balboa Park. Right down here is Petco Park where the Padres play, Coronado right down to the south. So that's kind of the layout down there. Now, when you're getting to the north area of San Diego, there's a few ways to get out of there. You're gonna either go up the 5 freeway if you're in some of the coastal zones, or you're gonna shoot up the 15 freeway if you are in some of the inland areas. If you're somewhere in the middle, you're gonna take one of those freeways and then cut in on either a side road. And then the main east-west freeways, you have the 56 here, you have the 78 freeway, and then you have the 76 up to the north in Oceanside. So North County basically starts at the 56 freeway. So we're gonna go right across to Poway, going up to Escondido, circle around Valley Center. We'll go up to Bonzel, all the way back to the coast, and then we're gonna go down all the way back to Del Mar. This isn't an exact line, by the way. This is just a visual, right? So typically how it works, the coast is going to be more expensive. As you go inland, it's going to get a little bit more affordable. But why do a lot of people who reach out to us start in a lot of these areas? These are a lot of the northern suburbs of San Diego. As you get downtown, you have a ton of other neighborhoods. As you get down to Chula Vista, all the North Parks, Little Italy's, Ocean Beach, La Jolla's, El Cajon, Santee. So there's a lot more areas, but since San Diego does have a lot of different vibes, a lot of different areas, this is where a lot of people can find something specific that they're looking for, whether they're looking coastal, whether they want a little bit more affordable, but also 25 minutes to the beach. There's some of those areas. And even we'll get to a few of the rural areas right here in North County, San Diego. And a lot of relocators start up here in North County, San Diego, because you got a good mix of schools, of suburbs, and of the beaches. And a lot of people coming here think they want either Encinitas or Carlsbad, but once they see the map, they're gonna see that there's a lot of other areas that might fit their needs, and we'll get into those in just a bit. But if you are thinking about moving anywhere within San Diego, definitely reach out. Let's start that conversation. Call, text, or email. We got your back when making the move here to San Diego. We've helped people relocate here and buy homes in these areas all the time. We can definitely help you narrow down the specific neighborhoods that you want and maybe even introduce you to a few you didn't even know. So we're gonna start with the coastal cities first because this is where a lot of people start their search. And we're gonna start with a neighborhood that has seen a lot of growth over these past few years. A lot of people have maybe not had this on their radar in the past few years, but there's been a lot of growth in the downtown area. But we're gonna start with Oceanside. So Oceanside traditionally has had a strong military presence. You have Camp Pendleton just to the north. So this whole section up here, let's bring it up on the other map. They do some trainings out here. They do some blasts, so you will hear some of that. We've helped people move up here. And while we're showing them homes, they're like, what is that noise? It's like boom, boom. It's actually, they're doing some trainings up here, and you can go on their website and check out when they're doing it. So it won't, most people don't get, as you get acclimated to it, you don't get startled, you just kind of know. But you can hear it all the way down, even a few of the other coastal cities. So jumping into Oceanside, it's one of the bigger coastal cities, but it's not all coastal. As you see here, it goes all the way back. Like Vista is considered an inland city, which we're gonna cover in a little bit, but it actually, some areas of Oceanside are actually a little bit further inland than Vista. So you do have the beach areas down here, where you have some great neighborhoods like South O, and this is the area down here that's seen the most growth. Oceanside has a population of about 175,000, and you can see it's a big space, but this whole section down here has seen, when we were growing up, there was nothing down here. Not nothing, these were parking lots. All these were just beach parking over here. And even in the theater right here, they're in the works to basically doze this and build another big building. So I think that trend is going to continue. But most people reaching out, they don't actually end up living in this area of Oceanside. A lot of people, if you want beach access, yes, there's some fantastic neighborhoods up here. My sister lives in this area. They're just not too far from the beach. But as you go a little bit further inland, there's different sections of Oceanside. So you have the Loma Altas, you have the Fire Mountains. As you go in a little bit, one of the biggest areas a lot of people do dig is this Ivy Ranch, just a big suburbs of homes. There's a ton of choices, but a lot of the price points in this area are relatively affordable. And when we made a video before of like Oceanside as a whole, pros and cons, you can go check that out. And we brought up this area, right? And we're like, okay, so this is, I might have said like 25 minutes to the beach, but I might have been talking a little bit further inland. Anyway, somebody made a comment that they live in Rancho del Oro, and they're like, no way, dude, it's like 11 minutes. If I take a straight shot and I hit all the green lights, we're looking at like 11 minutes, maybe 15 tops. But I was thinking, you know, going from your door, getting in your car, going down there, parking, actually door to being on the beach, it's probably about 25. So anywho, it is a lot closer than you think, and you're gonna see there is a lot of value in there. As you go out, you're gonna find areas like the greens around Arrowwood, beautiful golf course. My brother and Pops were just out there the other day. Really nice golf course. There's some new construction right over in this section right here, North River Farms. We have some clients looking out this way. And it doesn't look like that big of a project right here, but it's actually fairly large in the scheme of things. When you're actually driving around, there's, I think, 5 different neighborhoods in there. Even as you go further the east right here, you have like Morro Hills. Look at all this farmland out here. Like, you don't think of Oceanside as having a bunch of farmland, but there is still a lot of that. Now, yeah, some of these master plan communities are starting to creep in on some of that, but we shall see what happens over time. There's potentially even a surf park coming to Oceanside. That's been in the works for a little bit, so we'll see where that's kind of been on, kind of been off. But it's funny, you know, having a surf park only a few miles from the actual waves. But the main ways to get around in Oceanside, you're gonna have the 76 freeway to the north, you're gonna have the 78 down to the south. And then if you're ever looking at a map, look at the main corridors going through. You have Oceanside Boulevard down here, you have El Camino north to south, and then you have College north to south as well. Also Rancho del Oro. So you're gonna find plenty of ways to get around. And some of the other areas we're gonna show you, they are a little bit more split. Now there's a few different zip codes within Oceanside, but when we're talking about Oceanside, most people aren't like, I want to live in, you know, 92056. They're like, I want to live in this specific area of Oceanside, not necessarily the specific zip code. Now, a few things to note. People are moving here for the beach, right? There's not a ton of beachfront right here. One of the biggest areas is up to the north right here, is we're going to find a lot of people up at the harbor. This is like, you know, parking here. There's some parking back here. This is just a nice, big, wide beach. You also have the marina right back over here. My uncle has a boat in that little section. And then you're gonna find some other beaches right down to the south, right around the pier, pretty busy spot too. And then once you go past the Strand, that's the main little road right here, right on the beachfront. But as you go down, not a ton of beach, right? There's a lot of these like condos, townhomes, a lot of homes built right up to the coast, and they put in this whole rock barrier to kind of, you know, preserve the coastline. But they're in the works too to build this out a little bit. But anyways, once you move here, you could find a few little secret beaches in here. But once you go south-ish of the pier and the Strand, it's kind of a little tougher to find. But real quick, back to downtown. So the scene down here has really come up over the past few years, and people living in Oceanside are very proud to live in Oceanside. They kind of like the small town vibe it used to have. As it's grown out, it's becoming a little bit more tourist destination as the hotels are going up, as there's new food spots, new restaurants, new places to check out. Like, there's just a bunch. And I think like it used to be not necessarily go-to spot. Now it's becoming a go-to spot in North County, San Diego coastal. So right up Coast Highway, you're gonna find a lot of the new spots. You're gonna find a lot in this little area. One of our favorite spots right here, Craft Coast Beer and Tacos. I mean, there's Odie's Pizza. I haven't been there yet, but I've heard such good things about this spot. There's like People are loving some Odie's. It's like a sourdough crust. So anyways, there's some local favorites too here. As you cruise around, you're gonna find some local old school spots. But anyways, this whole area of Oceanside has seen a ton of growth over the past few years. It's just gonna continue as they are going on. And Oceanside used to be considered a more affordable beach city, but prices have changed a lot here, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. All right, next up, we're going straight south. We're going to Carlsbad. Probably one of the biggest areas that people are looking. Like when they're reaching out, Carlsbad, it kind of has a mix of affordability plus what people are looking for. And it's kind of separated into 4 different sections. Population here is about 114,000. So one of the biggest things about Carlsbad is it's probably one of the most touristy spots in the coastal zones. You're gonna find, once again, Legoland here. There's a good infrastructure for hotels and stuff. So you're gonna see that compared to the city right to the south, if you don't want that vibe, that's probably a better option for you. And now I'll zoom in a minute here, but I just want to show you how Carlsbad is divided. So basically going down, you have El Camino Real going north to south, and then you have Palomar Airport going east to west, or west to east in this case. And Carlsbad has 4 different sections, so 4 different zip codes. Like I mentioned, Oceanside, not really separated by the zip codes. This area, it seems a little bit more, okay, this area is like old school, old town Carlsbad, where you have the village. This area is Calavera Hills, suburban communities with some newer communities mixed in there. This area to the south is going to be La Costa down here. And then over to this section, you're gonna have Aviara plus a few different sections over here, like more suburban communities. But this is gonna be like your classic North County suburb. You're gonna find a ton of master plan communities. Once again, diving in, we have a ton of videos on Carlsbad. So if you guys wanna dive into, like we just made a vlog on this southern section here, going over some of the top communities people are choosing as they are searching in this area, from anywhere from like the starter condo townhomes all the way up to those luxury bigger homes right here in Carlsbad. So we definitely dove deep onto some of that, but we have a ton of other Carlsbad content. Once again, Aviara is a built out master plan community right here. Now, right in the center, you have Palomar Airport. So some of this central section, just as a warning, you are going to get some airplane noise, and mostly it's these smaller airplanes. You know, you have prop planes, you have all that kind of stuff. But recently, there has been a few additions of commercial flights. So I think there's 3 main commercial flights going to like the Bay Area, going to Denver, and going to Phoenix a few times a day. And then they have, you know, JSX going to, you know, Vegas and different areas there. But I think actually major carriers are starting to fly out of here. Some of the areas up to the north here, planes are usually taking off this way, landing this way. So anyways, that is all a flight path, something to consider if you are sensitive to noise. Also, as we're going through this, you're gonna see one thing that people need to pay attention to is a lot of these, you know, a lot of the communities, since the density of most of these areas is pretty built out, a lot of these areas are gonna have, you know, homes built on a lot of these main roads. So diving into like this area, it's called La Costa Valley. You have Calle Barcelona, somewhat Main Street of El Camino Real. Now there is some setback here, but you're always gonna get some of that road noise. So those homes on the outskirts right here, you're always gonna get some road noise. Once again, things to think about as you are living in some of the suburbs of San Diego. Now, when you're living in Carlsbad, you're gonna have 4 different zip codes, and each one has their own little vibe. So if you're going date nights, you're going downtown, you want some great places to eat, you're going down here. Campfire, we went there with the family. I believe it was last year. But their whole thing is everything touches fire. And so this is a great little spot. Even if you got kids, you got family, great date night. Junette Jolie, but all down here where you're looking at State Street, you're looking at Carlsbad Village Drive. This whole area is a lot of the infrastructure, a lot of the, you know, the great restaurants within town, some hidden little spots in there too. Park 101, a bunch of good little spots in here. And then as you go to the east, like I was saying, you're getting into Calavera. This is like total suburbs. There's not a ton of infrastructure. There's not a ton going on. You're gonna find some parks. There's awesome little hiking out here. It doesn't look that big on here. And when we mentioned hiking, I'm going like suburban hiking, right? I hit a lot of these trails, and when you're out there, yeah, you can see some of these houses. It's not like if you're in the Pacific Northwest and you're like, or even like East County, San Diego, some of our mountains out there, you have a ton of space. So you go on like real hiking, but just little neighborhood hikes, little suburban hikes, there's gonna be some awesome spots through a lot of these neighborhoods. One of Carlsbad's things is like keeping a certain percentage of open space, even though a lot of it's built out, right? You can see houses kind of everywhere, but you're gonna find somewhat of a decent amount of open space. Carlsbad also has a decent amount of infrastructure as far as businesses. So this whole central section that we were at earlier where you see Palomar Airport. So if you have a job at some of the bigger places, obviously biotech, a lot of golf companies in here. There's just a bunch of companies within Carlsbad. This could be your hub right here, and Carlsbad could be the perfect spot for you. And so a lot of different choices, and not a ton of character as you get into neighborhoods. Old Carlsbad has a little bit of, you know, character, a little bit more of that old school feel, beach cottage, all that. But I mean, once you get into Calaveras and La Costas and all that kind of stuff, yeah, it's definitely the burbs, right? You're gonna find manicured parks, you're gonna find a lot of the similar style homes, but that's what a lot of people like, a lot of HOAs and that kind of stuff as well. And Carlsbad's usually the first place people are looking at, but sometimes buyers actually end up choosing Vista or San Marcos instead once they see the price differences. So we'll get into those a little bit later on, but relocating and trying to figure out, you know, which of these areas makes the most sense. That's literally what we help people do every single week. The adventure continues directly to the south, which is going to be Encinitas. And some of our videos where we've made Encinitas versus Carlsbad, you're gonna see why a lot of people choose one over the other. And a lot of it does come down to the price premium you're gonna pay in one versus the other. But compared to Carlsbad, Encinitas feels, I mean, it is a bit smaller. Population's like 62,000. Over time, the feel within Encinitas was very anti-building. There was, you know, not a ton of construction going on, not a ton of new communities, but as California has forced a lot of communities, not just in Encinitas, throughout all of California, to hit certain standards as far as the number of homes built. Encinitas has seen a lot of multifamily projects. There is some new construction, not a ton. All these communities that we're gonna cover, there's not a ton of brand new construction. If you guys do want new construction, we can hit you up with a few different areas, but they're gonna be smaller communities like the one in Encinitas when we did a recent vlog. It's just up to the north here, and there's about 42 homes. It's right off the freeway, right over this way. So it's just being built out right now, this whole section. And yeah, it's like bigger homes, very pricey, but once again, great location right near the coast. And when we're talking Encinitas, so Encinitas is not necessarily zip codes. Encinitas is more areas. When you're getting into areas, you have kind of the little bit more character areas of Leucadia. Then you get into the rural areas or a lot of bigger 2-acre lots, a lot of space. You're getting out to Livin. Very similar feel, very similar style to some of the Rancho Santa Fe area, but with a little bit lower price point right here in Livin. I mean, Rancho Santa Fe is right here, so it's next door to it. Then you're gonna have the convenient area, New Encinitas. This is where all the infrastructure is, not all of it, but most of the infrastructure is as you're looking up El Camino Real. That's gonna be a lot of, you know, your Sprouts, your Trader Joe's, all your medical needs, big shopping center up to the north here with the Targets and all that kind of stuff. You have a newer, not newer, I guess it's 20 plus years old now, but for Encinitas, it's newer. Encinitas Ranch, highly desirable place. Not too many homes come up on in there. You have old Encinitas down here. This is like downtown Encinitas where you're gonna find the restaurants, the shops. This is, once again, I'm gonna show you all these little spots everywhere in every little city, because this is like if you're going out to eat, if you're going out for dates, if you're going out just to explore, if you're going to the street fair here in Encinitas, this is where you're gonna end up. And this is like the downtown Encinitas. So a nice little stretch, City Tacos, Encinitas Fish Shop. You have Broad Street Donuts, great little spots down here, up and down. No shortage of taco shops, the taco stand, you're gonna see a lot of those. Coffee shops, ton of coffee shops throughout Encinitas. A bunch of little, not breweries, but tasting rooms up here. So modern times, you do have a little music venue, the Roxy. So that's downtown Encinitas. A lot of the downtowns, we're gonna see like, you know, the downtown sign here. Oh, it's not a nice day in Encinitas, but here we go. Little bit older school feel in Encinitas compared to Carlsbad. When I'm thinking Carlsbad, I'm thinking a little more polished, a little bit newer suburbs. When I'm thinking Encinitas, now it does have those communities as well, but I'm thinking a little bit more of that old school vibe, that surf culture vibe, a little bit different style, definitely, than Carlsbad. There's also a bonus downtown area right here. And as you get into Leucadia, one of my favorite spots right here, or just places to go out. Well, Valentina is one of my favorite restaurants right here in North County, San Diego. But As you go Coast Highway, I like this Lucadia stretch. This is like for restaurants, bars, there's a bunch of little shops, all that kind of stuff. So once again, go check out our channel. We did a full vlog style on this whole area of Encinitas as well. But one of the hidden gems of Encinitas is once you get into this inland area, and you're gonna find some older school areas built in like the 70s and 80s. But back here is, you know, this area is called Village Park. You're gonna find some excellent little areas of mix of condos and townhomes back here. But Encinitas as a whole has a mix of different spots. Like I said, from Lucadia to Livin to New Encinitas to Old Encinitas, and even down here, which we're gonna give it its own little spot, is Cardiff by the Sea. So Cardiff is part of Encinitas, but it's its own zip code. People living in Cardiff, they don't live in Encinitas, they live in Cardiff. Cute little beach town, one of the more expensive ones right here on the coast, and downtown Cardiff Crack right here, Seaside Market. If you guys don't know what that is, it's marinated tri-tip. Bring it home, cook it up, throw it on some tacos. Oh, so good. But anyways, there's a few old school spots, e.g. Donut, very good donut, and a bakery right here, best pizza and beer. Anyways, there's a smaller downtown area. Then you go to one thing about Cardiff. You don't have homes right on the beach. You have bluffs going up and down a lot of these areas. For Encinitas too, you have bluffs going all the way up. So beach access, for which I forgot to mention, for a lot of these spots is going to be a little bit, not harder, but just more restricted, where you have moonlight. You do have, once you live here, you're gonna find your spots, but you're gonna see that it's a little bit more difficult, a little bit more dangerous as you get to some of these cliffy areas. Great surf spots in there, but you're gonna see like, it's not a great area to go bring the kids to the beach, all that kind of stuff. There's better areas for that. I think Cardiff has one of the better areas down to the south as it flattens out here. And you're getting into right to the border of our next spot, Solana Beach is right here. This is Seaside Reef, easy parking lot. Great for the kids. This is one of our go-to beaches right here. Plus a bonus in Cardiff is the, like I said, some of the suburban hiking, but the San Alejo Lagoon right here. And you just got like this loop you go around. They recently built it out. So it used to just be like this loop here, but they built bridges to cross here. So you could hop in at the nature center, cross over, go down this way, you can go all the way, loop around, past Annie's Canyon Trail. You got kids, bring them to that. It's a cool little spot. Back under the freeway, up Manchester and loop around. So if you need to stretch the legs a little bit, this is one of my go-to runs right here. And the 5 freeway. So as we're going through the coastal cities, some people are like, I wanna move east of the 5. I wanna move west of the 5. Now there is a premium as you get east of the 5 or as you go west of the 5, right? And sometimes you're gonna see homes pop up. You're like, that looks like too good of a deal. It's probably because it's right along the freeway. So as you're looking, check those out. But Cardiff, the walking district, the composer district, you have some condos back this way. You have a few different areas back in this little section, kind of like old school master plan communities that have seen a little change recently, a little remodels, not recently, but over the years, remodels. Kind of looks, yeah, it's definitely a track neighborhood, but it's got not necessarily that fully track feel. Heading on down south, I showed you this place, the edge of it, a little earlier, but we're looking at Solana Beach. As we go from Oceanside down, you're gonna see each city is a little bit smaller and a little bit smaller. Solana Beach, like 13,000 people. So very small footprint, very small, limited number of homes for sale. There's a few different areas of Solana Beach, but the main area is going up North Coast Highway. Like this, once again, Coast Highway is where all of these areas have their little downtown areas. Now, Solana Beach has a little bit of a bonus one. They have Cedros Avenue right here, where you're gonna, so it's just Coast Highway, and then right across the train tracks, you're gonna find Rare Society, once again, another coffee shop, Belly Up Tavern, one of the best live music venues in North County, San Diego. I just hit another one. I'll show you in the next city down to the south that just opened over the past few years, but Belly Up is kind of connected to them, but great little venue right here in Solana Beach. So a few things that stand out for Solana Beach. If you're thinking about moving out here, once again, the size, not huge. Infrastructure, yeah, you have some, but you're not gonna find a ton of big box stores, Costco's, Targets, all that kind of stuff. You're going outside for here. You do have your little shopping centers. You do have, you know, your home goods, your little, there's a few, you know, little spots, right? And then you have the more localized spots up North Coast Highway. So you have a little bit of that. This whole stretch right down this way is one of the biggest stretches of beachfront condos that you're gonna find in North County, San Diego. So from Loma Santa Fe all the way down to Villa de la Valle. This whole run, if you're looking for a beachfront condo, if you're looking for second home, set it, forget it. All of these areas, you're gonna see different styles, different price points. Now, yeah, if you get the ocean view ones, much more expensive. You get an interior one, a little bit more affordable. But Encinitas doesn't have it, Carlsbad doesn't have it, Oceanside doesn't really have it. So this is a good stretch if you want those oceanfront condos, easy access to Coast Highway 101. As you go back a little further, you're gonna get into this area west of the 5 right here. This is one ton of character. It's a mix of those original beach condos, or people bought those, took them down, built a brand new, beautiful, big house on there. There's a good mix down there. But some people have lived there forever and still love it and are gonna live in their cottage forever. So then you have on the east side, you have the Santas over here. So you have Santa Fe Hills, where track neighborhood, and down to the south a little further, I'll bring it up this, the Executive Golf Course and the Loma Santa Fe. So not a ton going on in Solana Beach as far as housing. There's only a handful of neighborhoods. There's, like I said, one of the smallest populations we covered, but the next area is even smaller. Now, a lot of buyers overlook Solana Beach for a variety of different reasons. One, just being it's too small. You're not getting enough choices. It's not as convenient as you want, but it is convenient if you are traveling, right? If you have to fly a lot, you're in a little bit further south spot where you can just shoot down the 5, go down to the airport right down there. You do also have Del Mar down the south, where there's some great little spots to go check out. But once again, if you're going to any of those big box stores, you're heading up to Encinitas most likely. And then the last coastal neighborhood is the smallest right here, and it's Del Mar. Everything's west of the 5. Now there's areas that are right over here to the east of the 5 that, you know, we call it Del Mar, but if you're thinking like the city of Del Mar, very specific, it's all east of the 5, starting at the north with the fairgrounds. So every year they have the Del Mar Fair. Well, it's a San Diego County Fair now, but out here, that's where our county fair is. Great spot right here, little mini golf place for the kids. I've been out here with my buddy a handful of times doing the golf. They have like the golf trackers out there. They also have the horse racing here every year. And also, one thing to note, most beaches here are not dog friendly. Certain areas of Cardiff, you can have like dogs on leash. A few other rules: no dogs, no smoking, no alcohol. So if you want one of those 3, if you want to bring your dog to the beach, this area right here, you can have them off leash, run around. If you're driving up Camino del Mar right here, you're gonna see a ton of dogs all right there. So that's a good little spot to bring the pups if you got dogs and you want to explore. But Del Mar feels a little bit more luxury. It's a smaller footprint as you're getting into downtown, you know, the downtown area of Del Mar. But one of the main little spots, or I guess it's not crazy small, is the Del Mar Plaza right here. You're gonna find some great restaurants up here. On the other side is a little coffee shop. But anyways, that's like right on the corner of 15th Street right there. So once again, beaches, Powerhouse Park, it's like the main drag, where you're gonna find Jake's Del Mar and a few other little spots. And then once you get to the south, they've been talks for years about putting a fence, because right now, like, people just go, you're not supposed to cross the train tracks right here, but obviously people are going down to the beach, right? So they're just hopping across the train tracks and going down. And there's been a lot of fight over the past few years, like they want to put a fence right here all the way up, and people are like, no, then we have no beach access, because you'd have to go way far north or way far south just to get even down to the beach. So far, the city has fought it and they've been good, but we'll see what happens in the future. Bunch of cool, different styles, different character, architecture, you know, like these single stories, these old school homes here. There's just a bunch of different types of homes here, and this whole area is going to be custom homes. So if you want custom, you want coastal, this could be your go-to. But just inland from Del Mar is one of the biggest relocation hubs in North County, and that brings us to our next spot, which is the 56 corridor. So from Del Mar, we're going to Carmel Valley right here in San Diego. And this whole area gives you great access to beaches, even though this isn't necessarily considered a coastal city. I'll show you, I mean, you could see right here, the beaches are relatively close. Plus, there's tech jobs. You could easily shoot down to a lot of different of those hubs right here in San Diego, and really great schools as well. And we're not diving too much into schools or anything like that. Even when we get to Carlsbad, there's 3 different school districts. Oceanside has its own, Encinitas has its own, but it feeds into some of the Solana districts as well. So if you guys want to know school districts and a little bit more, definitely go into where you're searching, where your areas are, or hit us up and we can dive into the map and show you exactly what schools are where. If you got kids, obviously that's a pretty important thing that you want to know. And I can't give you opinions on schools or like that. We can just let you know where they are and point you in the right direction for the resources and what actually websites to go look at. People are looking at ratings, you're going to niche.com, you're going to great schools, all those kind of things. But it really comes down to, what are you guys looking for? What programs are you looking for? All those other things. What other lifestyle amenities are important to you? And it really comes down to your specific goals and needs. And if you guys want to dive into all those, once again, hit us up, call, text, or email. We would love to help you make the move and purchase a home right here in San Diego. That's what we do every single week. And we definitely dig it. And like I said, Cassidy, the team, and I, we've been here our entire lives, and we got your back when making the move here to San Diego. And if you watched our videos before, when we talk about Carmel Valley, we're like, is it North County, San Diego? Is it not? It's borderline, okay? We'll give it to you that. But we're gonna cover it today anyways. So 56 freeway cuts it in half. Del Mar Mesa is a bunch of luxury homes out there. Down to the south where you see Carmel Country Highlands, Torrey View Estates. This is where you're gonna find a bunch of suburbs. Del Mar Highlands is up to the north here, Lansdale Estates. Torrey Pines High School is right in here as well. And that is part of the San Diego School District, which feeds to some of the Encinitas. So back to the schools, yes, it gets a little bit confusing, but a few things I wanna highlight in here. Some of the infrastructure, because some of the neighborhoods, I just think of Carmel Valley like a lot of the same, right? Yeah, Carlsbad has a bunch of tract homes, master plan communities, but there's little nuances, little differences here and there. When I think of Carmel Valley, I think it's all very similar across the board. Now it's not. Obviously, there's different nooks, crannies, different micro neighborhoods, different, feeding to different schools, obviously. But a few highlights I want to show you. Right here is One Paseo, which is a newer shopping center right here, a little high-end shopping center, like an outdoor restaurant, mall, all that kind of stuff. So there's the Caribbean store in there, but also some really good spots to eat. So I'm gonna go meet somebody here actually next Friday, and we're gonna go grab a beer right here. But you got a little ice cream spot, a little Italian spot, and it's a cool little jam. Then right across the road, even bigger shopping center. And this is where you have like luxury theaters. You have Sky Deck right here at Del Mar. And once you go inside here, there's, let me see, I've been there 1, 2, 3, 4. There's probably like 7, 8 different places in here, plus a little brewery deck up here. And then Pilates places and yoga places, Viore clothing store. I mean, it's got like a bunch of the amenities you're gonna need if you're living in this area. So once again, always packed. Your grocery store right here, just a ton of stuff, right? Everything you need. And so as you get into some of these trails, like, yeah, I say there's houses around, but with something else to know, San Diego as a whole is very hilly. Somebody mentioned it on another video. We were showcasing Rancho Bernardo, and they're like, I used to live there. In the vlog you guys are doing, it doesn't look super hilly, but every area of San Diego is. So it's just how we were showing it. I mean, we even showed some drone footage, but a lot of areas of San Diego look like this, right? Where you have rolling hills, you have a bunch of elevation changes. So if you're a runner, I like to run, like to go out and about, Tuesdays, Thursdays are my run days. It's like, get in here and, maybe I'll go to some of these trails. But once again, as you get out here, you're gonna see, like, if you want to get outdoors, you can find your little spots. Like Carlsbad, it does have some of the hiking. It's got some of the best parks. Down here, you do have some good parks and stuff too, but you also have a bigger preserve, this whole southern section right here, just south of the 56 freeway. And that's when we get into Pacific Highlands Ranch. And there's a variety of different houses in here. I say variety, I mean, you have like the townhome condos, like there's a new townhome condos right here. Then you get into like these neighborhoods that are like detached condos more or less, right? They're very small lots. You don't have like driveways, all that kind of stuff. And then as you go further to the north, the homes get a little bit bigger. Now the styles are all relatively the same. Yards get a bit bigger. And then there's even some huge home communities as you get to the far north. Right up here, you get Aurora Summit Trails. And look at some of these big old pools, vanishing edge pools, like gorgeous pickleball court. They're really cool homes in this little section too. And like I said, yeah, it's not considered a beach town. You don't have a beach vibe here, but it's, I mean, for most of these areas, look how close you are. Like, I mean, in certain parts of this, like right here, you're just as close as Encinitas. Pacific Highland Ranch, probably as close as the eastern edge of Encinitas, like once you get up into like a Livin. So a little bit further, but kind of on the same track. So not super close, but also not super far. And then as you go down the 56, you're gonna find Torrey Highlands, a few different areas, but one I wanted to highlight is Rancho Penasquitos right here. Population about 60,000, slightly older homes, very popular area. This is feeding into the Poway School District, which Poway is one of the top rated school districts right around San Diego. But once again, suburbs over here, but more affordable than where we just were, right? As we're going inland, prices are getting more affordable, a little bit more bang for your buck. Once again, older homes in this area, but you do have some more of that hiking up to the north and easy access to the 56 freeway. So another spot with a few options. If you're going downtown, you can shoot across the 56 or just hop onto the 15. It's gonna kick you on to the 163. That's gonna drive you right into downtown San Diego. And as we go to the north, another little micro neighborhood right here is 4S Ranch. So population about 18,000. I think when they're running that, they might be pulling in a few different areas here, but newer-ish community. And once again, we did a vlog on this whole section is where I'm bringing it up, because if you guys want to explore, we were up here at Liberty Park showing you around this neighborhood, went down to Patriot Park down here to the south, hit up the little shopping center of Mendocino Farms, and then ended up at the Forest Ranch Sports Park, which has some great views looking out here into these rolling hills out to the south. So anyways, if you guys want to dive into this neighborhood a little bit more, go check out that vlog. And we do have a lot of these different areas, a lot of different vlogs for many of these spots. But this whole area is, once again, a master plan community, a newer community. So as you're going through, you're going to find a little bit newer homes going through this area compared to like the Rancho Penasquitos area that we're just at. But just as a little, just show you a little bit, when you're getting into some of these master plan communities, a bunch of the same, right? You're going to find a little bit different colors, a few different elevations, but brand new communities, there's something to think about as you're getting into here and you're like, I want brand new. As you're looking at some of these somewhat new neighborhoods, some of the landscaping is not crazy mature. When you get some of the older master plan communities around that we've already mentioned, you're gonna see, like, as you're going around those neighborhoods, it's a lot more bushy, a lot more shade, a lot more kind of looks a lot more grown out. As you're looking at new construction, yeah, they put the trees in, but obviously they take many years to grow. So it really depends on your style and what you're looking for, but that is just one thing to keep in mind. All right, now I'm gonna show you like a more or less neighborhood that you might not have even been on your radar. And it's a golf course community. It's definitely larger homes, but yeah, this is a luxury community, but it's called Santa Luz. And as you're looking at maps, as you're going through these tours, you're gonna find, okay, yeah, I see Carlsbad, I see all these big areas, I see the next areas we're gonna cover, but unless you are really diving in and figuring out, okay, here's what I want, here's where I wanna live, here are my goals, here's kind of what my family is thinking, you might not find areas that are kind of hidden like this. This is a totally gated community. There's only about 800 residents in here and beautiful golf course going through here. But like some of these little hidden gems that you're gonna find here in different areas of San Diego are a little bit harder to find when you're just looking at the map or just looking at listings and kind of figuring out where you actually want to live. But we're gonna keep you informed on all these spots too. So if you guys like this type of content, definitely subscribe. We're dropping new videos here every single week on all different areas of San Diego. So we worked our way down the 56. Now we're gonna hop into one of my favorite areas in San Diego, and it is Vista. This is where my grandparents lived forever. This is where I lived when I was very young. I was actually born right here, or Tri-City, but where is it at? It's a Tri-City Hospital. Anyways, it's right down this way. But Vista is a collection of many different neighborhoods, many different options for homes. Population here is about 100,000 or so. And there's some things happening in Vista recently that are not to the extent of Oceanside and downtown Oceanside, but have seen some growth over the years. Now, Vista is split in two. So you have Southern Vista right here, 78 freeway. You have south of the 78, you have north of the 78. Let's start with the south, because we've been talking about master plan communities this whole time. Shadow Ridge is one of the bigger master plan communities. And that's what you're gonna find in this whole southern, not the whole, a lot of this southern portion of Vista, where you're gonna see Shadow Ridge Golf Course right here, and just a bunch of different, they call them villages, kind of like the Oceanside where we showed you Rancho del Oro. That actually has a bunch of different villages as well, is what they say. These are just the different communities within Shadow Ridge, but just different sizes of homes, different footprints, but you know, once again, master plan community. Stay tuned, because there's some good value in this area. One of Cassie and I, if you've seen our other videos, favorite spots, the Sycamore corridor right here, and a bunch of different breweries. This is what, not this area Vista is known for, but Vista has one of the biggest presence of local breweries right here in North County, San Diego. Now, as we go to the North Vista, you're gonna find Main Street, which is like this is like the Vista downtown. And old school Main Street has been here forever. It's been here for a long time. Now, over the past few years, a lot of it's been built out, like these apartments obviously weren't here, but this whole little section where you have Vista Village Pub, you have Insane Brewing, you have a little sushi spot over to this way over here. That's where my brother and sister go a bunch. My brother lives in this northern section of Vista, so they're down here quite a bit. And then as you go across, it's a newer development or a newer shopping center, where there you're gonna have the Sinopolis, a luxury movie theater right here, where you could order food, drinks, all that kind of stuff. The Wave Water Park, just a small little miniature little water park that's been here for quite a while. Swami's Cafe. And then as you get over here, like Lowe's, there's Fraser Farms, which is a local grocery store right here. So anyways, this is like the central area of Vista, and it's been started to be built out along South Santa Fe right here, where you start getting a lot of these newer condos, or sorry, no, these are all apartments. That's one thing that Vista has not necessarily built a ton of, is new condos or like new homes for purchase. So a lot of the new building is like apartments going up and down here, kind of spreading out from the downtown area of Vista. And then as we scroll back, one of my favorite areas in all of Vista is this northern section here, kind of around Brangle Terrace Park. Now, certain areas like I said, Carlsbad, great parks. Certain other areas, Encinitas has good parks. Once you get into like Vista, yeah, there's some parks here and there, but it's not really known for parks. It's not really known for hiking. It's kind of like an old school vibe. This whole northern section here is, not the whole, but a lot of the northern section is somewhat of that rural feel. It's a little bit further out, so getting to the freeway, getting to stores, getting that kind of stuff is a little bit further, but you do also usually have a little more space on your property. You have you're a little bit more spread out. You do have, you know, like, so my brother lives out in this little section. He's got chickens, he's got a few dogs, he's got a garden. He keeps adding stuff onto his house. They recently did a remodel because they had enough space to add an extra room, all that. So anyways, there's just like a lot of cool character and, you know, 3rd acre lots back here. So it's one of my favorite areas of Vista and North County, San Diego, just a hidden little gem. And it's just highlighting the city of Vista, but even Buena Creek, we've helped some clients move out to this little area too, a little bit bigger homes out here, a little bit bigger lots as well for the most part. And it is in Vista, but you can see it's not within the city of Vista. So when you're seeing unincorporated Vista, it gets a little confusing. Basically just comes down to who's taking care of the roads and stuff, who is, you know, are you going through the city of Vista for remodels, or do you have to go through the county? And there's a few other areas too. Even the next area that we cover is going to have some of this as well, where some of the area is city, some is unincorporated, so it's, you know, county, etc. But a little confusing, but don't worry too much about that. But let's jump on into our next little spot, which is right next door to Vista. And this place has seen, okay, I keep talking about growth and this and that, Oceanside growth, but one section of San Marcos has seen a ton of growth over the past decade or so. It's going to continue to grow, and I think it's going to become a go-to destination in the future. Now, San Marcos, I'm not going to show you a downtown area or anything like that because it doesn't really have one. So, but the area I will show you here shortly is going to be the new downtown. So once again, split in two. You have the northern area of San Marcos. Now, San Marcos doesn't, the northern section, it doesn't have really distinct master plan communities. One of them is going to be Santa Fe Hills. But once you get into this area, you see Richland, you see some areas over here. It's just kind of like northern San Marcos. I grew up in San Marcos. I grew up in this section of San Marcos. And you don't say like, you know, oh, I grew up in this specific, you know, master plan community. It's like older master plan communities that a lot of single story ranch style homes. We helped some clients move up here last year, and you know exactly what they were looking for, single family home. It was kind of over in this section, and once you're in this section over here, you find a lot of these pocket parks, a lot of these neighborhood parks. But you wouldn't just know that like looking at a listing online. Like you just have to go there and explore. Like they're right across from this big open space park. It's pretty neat. So to the north, you have Twin Oaks Golf Course. Once again, like I said, Santa Fe Hills is one of the master plan communities over here. An interesting community if you want that lifestyle, that kind of golf course lifestyle. You could drive your golf carts around this whole section of San Marcos. This is called Lake San Marcos, and you'll see signs going around the street, golf court friendly, all that kind of stuff. Don't move here for the lake. It's not like that. Like you can bring your boat out, you can do that kind of stuff, a little boat, you can go fishing, but it's not like you're water skiing, or even you're not really going to go in the water. It's not the best, but it is a cool area right here where you have the golf course over here. You have the executive golf course. You do have the little lake house resort. And I just saw a clip actually, and there's this Italian dude who's got a restaurant in town, not in San Marcos, just in San Diego. And the first question is like, okay, if we were looking for really good Italian food, where should we go? And his first thing was, well, can I add pizza then to it? He said, I would go to Amalfi up in San Marcos. So really good pie up there if you guys are just kind of out and about exploring. But this is one of the more unique areas in kind of everywhere we're going to show you today. But to the south right here of the 78 freeway, you have Cal State San Marcos. Now, even growing up here, this has been here the whole time that I grew up there. You don't really think of like, oh, I live in a city that has a state school or a university. But over time, the university has grown. It used to be a university. People would come from all over, go here, or not all over, but a lot of local people driving from elsewhere to go to school at CSUSM. But this area has seen a ton of growth and will continue. You can see new construction over here. This is called the Hill District. Cassidy was just showing some clients out some properties over here. There's a few different builders, a few different developers. Not a ton of homes, but enough new construction. You have Mission Circle right here, new construction. You do see some older master plan communities where you get into Discovery Hills right here, right around Discovery Lake, Rancho Tesoro. So newer construction mixed with older master plan communities. But this whole area right here is probably the most growth that we're gonna see in all of North County in the coming years. I think I made a post on our Instagram page about this property right here, or this place. I believe it was the biggest building or like apartment building built in all of North San Diego. So it's like 11 stories. It's just a beast. It's insane if you're driving by, but this is like North City. That's what this whole corridor is called. And as this grows, this will become the new downtown of San Marcos. So right here, Buena Forchetta, great little Italian spot. There's a coffee spot, sushi. As you're going down, here is the new apartment complex. Some of these, like, I mean, we help people buy and sell homes, and if you're relocating, we can help you find a home. But these are all apartments, and I think the penthouses are like $11,000 or $12,000 for rents. It's crazy, but nonetheless, this is going to continue down as this gets built out. There's going to be some more commercial here. It's going to be a big, thriving area as it does continue to go across Twin Oaks Road right here. So keep eye on San Marcos as that continues to grow. But all in all, here's how we think about it. To the south, a lot of master plan communities. To the north, a lot of older established communities. There are, like I said, there are master plan communities. There's flip-flop on either side, but just as a whole. And then a secret little neighborhood that if people are living here, they're like, they're not necessarily saying they live in San Marcos, they say they live in San Alejo Hills. So it's, when I was growing up, this was all literally just like, it looked like this hillside over here. There was nothing here. There was just, yeah, nothing going on. It was just a big mountain. Now, San Elijo Hills is like a self-contained little area where they do have their town center here. They have the schools right in town. They have the parks. There's miles and miles of trails that they integrated into this neighborhood. It is a really neat little neighborhood that is kind of tucked away and hidden, and you're right on the border of Carlsbad. So it's somewhat between coastal and inland. And somebody said, another commenter on our post said, we were kind of comparing the northern section, or, you know, over the hill here, because it's a big hill. We're comparing this section down here to San Elijo Hills, and they live in San Elijo. They're like, well, I live over here. It still stays somewhat cool because it's like you still get the ocean breezes, so it's not necessarily blocked by the hill right here. Because once you get into this section of San Marcos, this is like a big valley going through here. So it just, you know, it could get a little warmer on that side of the hill. Then San Elijo, you still get those breezes. All right, now just due north of this is Escondido, which is actually a pretty big footprint area right here. Now you're starting to get into the warmer areas of San Diego where you get to that 15 freeway corridor. You're like coastal, cool. You get kind of that inland area where you're getting, you know, the vistas, the Lake San Marcos, certain areas of San Marcos, Rancho Santa Fe, which is another area we'll cover here in a bit. And then as you get into the Escondidos and kind of up and down that 15, yeah, it gets a bit warmer out here. Now, population out here is about 151,000 in Escondido, and it's spread out quite a ways. So like you have the central downtown Escondido, you have some newer communities over here where you're gonna see Harmony Grove, and there's potentially a new Harmony Grove south coming right over here. It's in the works. They're trying to figure all that out, but this is a master plan community. You do have a newer master plan community right up here around the country club. It used to be the actual golf course. I can't see it now. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. Where it actually used to be Escondido Country Club, and now it is built into, you can see all of these right over here. They used to be a golf course. We've seen that happen a few times around San Diego where golf courses are being closed down or closed down for many years. They weren't profitable, whatever the case may be. They're being built into communities. So Escondido has a ton of different spots. There's some cool little nooks and crannies. There's some areas where you do get some of that rural, you do get some of that, you know, outdoor space. There's some great wineries out to the east here. A few good lakes where you got Wolford, you got Dixon, grew up going to Dixon Lake. Now fishing out here, probably not the best. Catch fish every now and again, go, you know, if you get lucky, but it's not like known for fishing, but you can get out there if you need to. The San Diego Zoo Safari Park is out in this little section of San Diego as well. So if you're living in here, get the yearly passes. I know Cassidy's out here, not all the time, but quite a bit, as just a little activity, fun activity with the kiddos. But there's a ton of different areas and a ton of different places to explore in styles of living, types of homes. Escondido, once again, a little bit more spread out and a bunch of different living areas. A few other mentions before we get into the luxury spot is Rancho Bernardo. Split by the 15 freeway, you got a few different areas here. Rancho Bernardo was originally built out as an entire master plan community. So one cool thing about Rancho Bernardo, it does, first off, feeds into that Poway school district. Once again, getting into school districts and figuring out where you're going. But all these little neighborhoods, they do usually have like their own little clubhouse. And some of the HOAs, like a lot of the HOAs, well, it depends really, but some of the HOAs, they have the clubhouse with the pools, with the tennis courts. There's some that even have private parks connected to them. So it's a cool little area right here. Once again, the 15 freeway, you do have access to Lake Hodges, trails and stuff out there. And then directly to the south, we're gonna get into Poway, which is kind of a slept on little spot here. It's called the City in the Country. And for good reason, because you do have a little bit of mix where you have Old Poway and all the density. I think of Old Poway kind of similar to like Northern Vista or Northern San Marcos, where you have a lot of those single story homes, a lot of those, 60s and 70s type homes. And then as you get out to the eastern portions, there's some great hiking out here, by the way. This is where it gets a little bit more open in San Diego. You do have some of these rural lots on the hillside out here. There's some gated communities as you go into this little section of Poway. There's some other areas where you're gonna find big spread out, kind of like the somewhat a Livin ish that I mentioned earlier, with homes with, you know, pools, a lot of space around, a lot of area where it's not like all packed on top of each other. So there's a bunch of different areas. Once again, Poway School District, obviously you're in Poway. Trade-offs being, yeah, you're a little bit further out. You're a little bit less convenient than some areas. If you are moving here specifically for the beaches, this is gonna be one of the furthest areas that you're gonna hit. So yeah, you're probably not gonna go to the beach, but even some of the areas close to the beach, people think they move here for the beaches a lot. You might not be at the beaches as much as you think. And then 3 quick hits as we get into the rural sections, where you have hidden little spot right here. Bonsall up to the north here, you're looking at like 4,500 as far as population. So a smaller little footprint here, but horse properties, large lots, you got that rural lifestyle. As you get into the very northern section here of Fallbrook, you got rolling hills, avocado groves. There's, on our podcast, we just recently mentioned, like on our to-do section, they're having the avocado festival here, which is something they've had for almost, I think it's like 39 or 40 years. Small town vibe, so a little bit more. I had a buddy first bought his first home. He lived out here, and there was tract homes, but then when I think of Fallbrook, we were showing homes out here a few years back to some clients, and it was like a big property with a pool. I think it was 1.8 acres or something like that. That's kind of what I'm thinking most people are looking for in Fallbrook when they are moving out there. Quiet, sleepy, all that kind of stuff. And then Valley Center, just to the south here. Once again, population's about a few different, I saw 11 to 25,000. So I don't know if they're taking in different areas, kind of getting rural out here. This is up a hill. This is pretty far from everything. My pops used to work out here, living in San Marcos. It was quite a trek. You got to go up the Coal Grade Road, and it's just kind of like a hassle, but you know, it is a lifestyle. If you want space, if you want quiet, that might be a good place for you. Now let's dive into some luxury. We're gonna go to Rancho Santa Fe. It's luxury, but it's not like coastal luxury you would think of, like beachfront, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's like old school, rural, equestrian luxury, where you get out here, a lot of space. You get out here, it's going to be private. It's going to be quiet. There's no main roads going through here. It's only about 3,000 people as far as population goes. And you'd see there's all surrounded by the Rancho Santa Fe Golf Club. So this is actually, you wouldn't think it, but it is HOA as well. It's called the Covenant, and you have to live within the Covenant area, which is specific roads. I mean, it's most of the area we have highlighted here, but if you want to get into the Rancho Santa Fe Golf Club. But as you're looking out here, large estates, yes, you do have the golf course in the middle, and there's a bunch of other areas that aren't within the Covenant. As you get out to the Crosby, as you go to the Bridges, as you go to a few different areas, if you do want golf course gated lifestyle that aren't necessarily within the Covenant right here of Rancho Santa Fe, but you have privacy, and it's one of the wealthiest communities in all of California. All right, now let's jump into price points. We're gonna start at the top again, run down. I'm gonna show you what every spot is, because everyone is a little bit different. But typically here in Oceanside, you're looking at, depending on if you're inland or coastal, so you can see down some of the coastal spots, you're looking at like 1.6, and I have single family homes up right now. So we're going to look at that. If you're looking at condos and those kind of things, price points are going to be a little bit less. But even coastal here, you're going to see a lot of that sub $2 million price point. So 1.64, 1.34. As you go inland to one of the areas that we had mentioned, which is Rancho del Oro, you're starting to look at some of the, you know, just shy of $1 million. But $1 million, you're looking at 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,300 square foot. Once again, as one viewer posted, only 11 minutes from the beach. So Carlsbad, let's start in the northern section here. As far as price points, you know, $4 million homes, but some are going to be in that 1.35. So 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,800 square foot. As you get some of the bigger lot neighborhoods, we look at Highlands, 6-bed, 6.5 bath, 4,000 square feet for 2.8. When you get into the master plan communities of Calavera Hills, you're looking in that, you know, 1.2 to 1.8 range, a little bit higher. Once again, these are all ballparks. Going down to La Costa. La Costa varies a lot because there's newer communities, there's bigger homes, smaller homes, all kinds of stuff. But for the most part, you know, you're looking at this $2 million price point. You can see some right down here, 2-bed, 2-bath, the smaller one for 1.3, and going into $2 million for a 5-bed, 3-bath, 3,064 square feet. Then getting into that Aviara area. This is a little pricier as you go to the coast, but 2.7 right here for a 5-bed, 4.5 bath. So bigger footprints here. 2, 3, 4, 5-bed, 4.5 bath, 3,500 square foot. Now this one bucks the trend a little bit because I said as you get further inland, it usually gets more affordable. But since once you get to Livin out here, the homes are much bigger, the lots are much bigger. You're looking at much larger price points out here. The central part, newer Encinitas, probably about, you know, that 1.6 on the low end to 1.8, $2 million mark. As you get to coastal Encinitas, price points definitely go up, and big jumps once you go to the east of the 5. This is a 7-bed, 5-bath, 4,000 square foot for just shy of 5. You have this guy here, which is a 4-bed, 4.5 bath, 3,200 square foot for 3.1. And then as you get into some of these other areas, like right over here off of Santa Fe, 4-bed, 4-bath, 3,000 square foot, 3.8. So here's Solana Beach. Like I mentioned, you know, a smaller footprint. So as we get down, you're gonna see less and less homes, but east of the 5, about like 2, 3 starting. Once again, as you get closer to the freeway, it gets a little more affordable because you get that noise all the time. But going back into here, 4-bed, 3-bath, 2,800 square foot for just shy of 3. As you get into some of these, some of the higher price points are the bigger homes that have been redone, 4-bed, 4-bath, 4,500 square foot. And then you'll find some 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,800 square foot for 3.5, some of the smaller homes. And then getting down into $10 million homes just on Rios Avenue. This is just by the Cedros district. Del Mar, one of the more expensive beachfront ones as we're getting into here. You can see a 4-bed, 4-bath for 40, almost 50 million bucks. As you get into the central Del Mar area, you're looking at like 4 million bucks, 3.5 for a 3-bed, 2-bath, just shy of 2,000 square foot, 6-bed, 5.5 bath, 4,000 square foot for 8.4. So one of the pricier spots that we're gonna show you today. As you go to the Del Mar Heights area, you're gonna find some as you get to the Del Mar Heights area, you're gonna find some a little bit more affordable, 4-bed, 2.5 bath, 1,800 square foot for 2.45. Coming in with Carmel Valley, you can see price points here. Once again, all single family homes, condos, there's townhomes, condos in all of these places too. If that is what your search is for, the trade-offs are usually smaller lots, patios, etc., as opposed to yards and such. But as you go to the southern section, like Torrey Hills, 2.7, 5-bed, 3.5 bath, 3,000 square foot. As you go to the north, some of the Pacific Highlands Ranch, these are one of the neighborhoods we showed you earlier, 2.2, 4-bed, 3-bath, 2,600 square foot, newer-ish construction. Getting into that central area here, 5-bed, 4.5 bath, 4,000 square foot for 3.4. Now we're in Rancho Penasquitos. Like I said, as you go down the 56, the homes are a little bit older, but the price points are much more affordable. 4-bed, 3.5 bath, 3,000 square foot for 1.55, 1.44, 4-bed, 2.5 bath, just shy of 2,000 square foot. And even down this way, once again, a little bit older homes, 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,572 square foot for 1.225. Now Vista with a ton of options. I mean, huge range going from, you know, 800,000 to 2.3 million. That's not the normal range. I would say the normal range, like as you're looking in the foothills here, you're looking just around that $1 million mark, 4-bed, 3-bath, 2,300 square foot. Once you get into the Buena Creek area, price points can go up a little bit. I'm not seeing any good homes to show you in there, but you know, $999 is gonna be your starting. As you get into some of these larger homes, 6-bed, 5.5 bath, 5,000 square foot. But that's not typical what I think of this area of Vista. As you go south into the Shadow Ridge area, let's find one right here, 945. So this is like your 2-bed, 2-bath, 1,400 square foot, 3-bed, 2.5 bath, 1,800 square foot, just shy of 900. You see the price points are all right around there in the Shadow Ridge area of Vista. All right, San Marcos, some of the smaller single-story homes that we mentioned, 4-bed, 2.5 bath, 1,700 square foot, 840. When you get into the Santa Fe Hills, one of the master plans, you're like right around that 1 to 1.2 mark. As you go down to the south, let's mention Lake San Marcos. A lot of these homes down here, you've seen a lot of flips. So a lot of these price points are homes that have been recently renovated and kind of changed over the past few years. Once we get into Rancho Tesoro, some of these other areas is like newer construction in here, 4-bed, 2.5 bath, 2,200 square foot for 1.2. And this is new construction within the last few years. This is Mission Circle, 3-bed, 2.5 bath, 1,900 square foot. When you do get into these newer communities, you get to see it's, you know, tighter. Footprints are a bit smaller. Your neighbors are a lot closer. So older communities, as you go back in time, a little bit more spread out. Now, as they're building them, getting a lot tighter. And Escondido is gonna be all over the map. Look out here, a $17 million property. But once again, as we're looking in certain other areas of Escondido, that $1 million mark is what you're gonna see pop up a lot. Once you get into, this is the one I just showed you right around the golf course, 900,000. That's within the last few years, 3 bed, 2 bath, 1,700 square foot. Harmony Grove down to the south, once again in that $1 million to 1.3 mark. 4 bed, 3.5 bath, 3,000 square foot. Once again, so as you get out here on the outskirts, you're gonna see a little bit more space. 4 bed, 4 bath, 3,300 square foot. As you get in here, it's a little more condensed, a little more dense, but price points do reflect that. And then Rancho Santa Fe is a wide variety, but probably that $5 million starting point. 4 bed, 4.5 bath, 4,500 square foot. But you're gonna see there's no homes around. You get a decent chunk of space out here. Once you get into the $7.7 million range, 5 bed, 7 bath, 9,932 square foot. And then going all the way up to a 6 bed, 7 bath, 8,000 square foot with its own private lake for 24 million. But with all this, price is only part of the equation. Obviously, location and lifestyle are going to play a big part in your decision as well. So if you are thinking about moving to San Diego and buying a home in one of these areas, and you're trying to figure out which one is going to fit you best, definitely reach out. Let's start that conversation, because that was a lot to throw at you, and help narrow down which area is going to be best for you and your family. I'm Chris Erickson with the Livin in San Diego real estate crew. We got your back when making the move here to San Diego.